Today we're going to speak about how to turn a sin into a win. What do I mean by that? To turn a sin into a win. The Gemara in Yuma, page 86 says, you do tshuva mehava, then all of your averos become what? Avraham mitzvos. Isn't that mind-boggling? Gedoyle tshuva mehava shesdonot nashelo k'schuyot. How to turn a sin into a win. It's difficult, but it can be done. Now, how do we do that? We know in Yahadut the tikkun comes from the chet. The way you sin is the way you repair the damage. How do we know that? I'm a text man. So in Parshas Kiteche that we read last Shabbos, there's a strange pasuk. The Torah says, Loitia kedesha b'bnois Yisrael. There shouldn't be a kedesha. A Jewish girl should not be a kedesha. What does a kedesha mean?
Like a prostitute.
A harlot.
Harlot.
So why not say zonah? Why say kedesha and you really mean a harlot? Why not say zonah?
Kedesha sounds special.
Rashi makes a very bizarre comment. You hear this, Masha? Rashi says, Maza kedesha, you're sitting down, right? Mukudeshet liznut.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
I heard Arayat Mukudeshet li kedas Moshe of Yisrael. So Rashi comes along and says, you know why the Torah used the word kedesha? Mukudeshet liznut. Isn't that bizarre? Of Tuvi, isn't that bizarre? Rashi HaKadosh, you know, every word of Rashi is Kodesh Kadoshim, you know that. So Rashi has to use that word, what's the answer? A holy harlot?
No.
A holy harlot?
She's trying to make it like that.
What's the message?
She separated it off from
But you're right, but why use the word Mukadeshet Liznut? Well, to answer this question, we're going to what?
ask another question.
Why not? A Jew answers a kasha with a kasha. The Lubavitcher Rebbe asked the question, why in Hebrew the word Ra and the word Reya is the same root? Ra means evil, Knievel, and Reya means friend. It's the same word, Papa, you know Hebrew. Ra, Reshai, and evil, and Reya means friend. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, why is that the same word in Hebrew, the same shoresh with two different meanings? So that's the tafkid of a Jew, to take Ra, to take the evil and make it your friend. Ain't it good to know you got a friend? So Rashi's hinting to that. You do tshuva me'ahava, she was mukudeshet liznut, but if she does tshuva me'ahava, then that sin becomes what?
Mitzvah.
Kedusha, mitzvah. Yeshua ben Nun, who did he marry? Rochav Hazonah. Yeshua ben Nun couldn't find a Beis Yaakov girl, a Beis Rivka girl. He had married Rochav Hazonah. She converted, and she became the great-grandmother of Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu Hanavi. Yeah. So Rashi's telling us that yes, a person can do terrible averot, but the Mukadeshet Liznut can be turned to Mukadeshet Lovat, Ared Mukadeshet Li. The way we sin is the way we repair the damage. Where a Jew can go back in time and rejuvenate himself, Gershom, or recycle himself. So those Averis that Rochav Hazonah did now become what? Bizarre as it sounds, Yisrael becomes mitzvahs. That's just incredible. The question is, why should it be like that? King David says, V'chatosi negdi tomid. King David, I think he's the poster boy for tshuva. Now, he became the Melech HaMoshiach. Before his sin with Bathsheba, Tuvi, or after? I would say before, right? But the Zohar says no. King David became the Melech HaMashiach only, he's sitting down, after he sinned with Bathsheba and he what?
Did
tshuva. So Chatosi Negdi Tamid. Why? He became the Melech HaMashiach despite his sin or because of his sin. He never would have reached the heights of Kiddusha if he didn't have sinned. The sin was like the, what's the word? The cannon fodder? Not the mother. The cannon fodder, the fuel that drove him to heights of Kiddusha he never would have reached if he didn't do that sin. The person that doesn't sin is coasting along, you know? But about tshuva has so much to make up. I can't take a day off. I have no time to lose. I got so much to make up. Chatosi negdi tamid. So King David turned the sin into a win. Like Rachav Azona, Kedesha, Mukudeshet Liznut. And she turned it into Harayat Mukudeshet Li. The awesome power of tshuva to go back to the future and reinvent yourself.
What was the sin that David committed?
He had relations with Bathsheba, not Elisheva, Bathsheba.
That's right.
Now, even though she had a get, but still it was not the way to go. It was she had a get. The Talmud said she had a get. Get al Tanai, but she, whoever went to King David's army, they gave the soldiers gave the wife a get. Okay, but I don't want to get into that. That's a 3-hour shiur on its own. But anyway, he did commit the sin with Bathsheba, and he became the Melech HaMashiach, as the Zohar. Not despite the sin, but bizarre as it sounds because of the sin, he's the Melech HaMashiach. He is the poster boy for tshuva. The Melech HaMashiach is going to save all mankind, not just the tzaddikim. He's going to save the sinners too. So he has to be the role model. I sinned, but I can do tshuva. I can turn a sin into a win. If I can do it, you guys can do it. So Dafka, he became the Melech HaMashiach. A Jew always has hope. It's never too late to turn your life around. Tshuva, you reinvent yourself. Tshuva, the every yirida can be l'tzorech aliyah. There's a pasuk in Mishlei, Sheval Yipol Tzadik. The Tzadik will fall 7 times. Become. He gets up. Says the Baal Shem Tov, what's pshat? Only when a person falls 7 times and he gets up, he doesn't fall into, how do you say, yiyush? Despair. Only then can he be called a tzaddik. Baal Shem Tov says that. Shevel Yipol Tzadik. Because a person who sins, and when he realizes his sin, he has so much to make up for. He can't be on cruise control. He can't take a day off. He has so much to what?
To lose if he doesn't.
To make up.
For.
So it's paradoxically, it's the sin that drives him to heights of Kedusha he never would have reached if it wasn't for the sin. I know myself. And I work with Baal Tshuvas. They can't take a day off. They can't rest. So it's paradoxically, it's the sin that drives them on and on. And King David said that, V'chatosi negdi tamid, my sin is always in front of me, and therefore I'm growing constantly. The Rambam says that about tshuva reinvents himself. I'm not the person that committed that sin. Person had relations loyaleni with a married woman that gave birth to a mamzer. He does tshuva. I'm not the person that fathered that mamzer, says the Rambam. Say what, but you are the person. I look like that person, but I'm not.
But the baby's still a mamzer.
The baby's still a mamzer, but I didn't father him. It was Clark Kent, not me. It looks like me. Remember Clark Kent? That's the power of tshuva, that you can reinvent yourself.
Yeah, but you can't reinvent.
He's a mamzer, but I didn't give birth to him. It was somebody else. That guy's dead and buried. He looks like me, but it's not me. So says the Rambam Hilchos Tshuva.
But he doesn't benefit the poor baby.
Huh?
But the poor baby doesn't benefit.
A mamzer. You know what the last Mishnah Horaya says? If you're on the Titanic and there's one seat on the lifeboat, and there's a mamzer Talmud Chacham and a Kohen Gadol Am Haaretz, who gets the seat on the lifeboat? The mamzer. The mamzer Talmud Chacham comes before the high priest and ignoramus. The mamzer is only one thing. He can't marry a Jewish girl. He can marry another mamzer. He can marry a giyoris. He can get shishi. He can sit by the wall. He can be the chief rabbi. I'm not making this up. He just cannot marry a Jewish girl. I don't want to get off the subject. But anyway, a mamzer Talmud Chacham comes before a Kohen Gadol Am Haaretz, the last Mishnah in Horayos. But what?
A giyoris is Jewish.
Right, but a mamzer is permitted to marry giyoris. The children will be mamzerim, but he's permitted to marry giyoris. The children will be mamzerim, but he's permitted, and he can marry another mamzer as well. But anyway, the power to reinvent myself goes so far. We make a bracha every day, Mechaya HaMeitim. Is that proper Hebrew? one of the Yid Gimel Midos, the last Ikrim. Meitim Yechaye'el Barov Chazdo Baruch Hadeyat Shem Tehilasa. Don't worry, I won't give up my day job. Meitim Yechaye'el. What does that mean? Does God resurrect the dead now? No, David. Yechaye means what? In the future. He will. He's not doing it now. So how can we make a bracha in the Shemoneh Baruch Hashem Mechaya Meitim? Chava, we should make the bracha Yechaye Hametim. Atid, he doesn't do it now. We make Mechaya Hametim.
But at some point,
Mechaya means now. Yes, the Gemara says Rishoyim Af Bechayim Kurim Mason. A person does a sin. Remember Night of the Living Dead? A person does a sin, he's a walking zombie. When he does tshuva, he is Mechaya Mesim. God resurrects him now. So you make the bracha Mechaya Meitim Hoveh now.
It's not necessary to shout.
The tshuva, you're born again. The awesome power, we're all born again. Despite our sin, we become great. And we move on and on. Onwards and upwards. Remember you say that? Onwards and upwards. Now the Vilna Gaon says, why did God send us down here? So I'd say to learn Shas, right? Chaya. I mean the Chava. To learn Shas?
To make the bed good.
Says the Vilna Gaon, we are down here to do Shvirot HaMidot. How do you say that in English? To break our midot.
Work on our bad.
To go beyond ourselves. To be bigger than ourselves. To be nice and kind even when I'm having a bad hair day. And the guy's really pestering me, my spouse is pestering me, or this guy's giving me a bad hair day. And I want to explode, and I what? I say, yes, dear. That's why I was created. So says the Vilna Gaon. Shvirat Hamidot. That's why we're here. To be kind, nice, and considerate even when things are not going right. That's pretty amazing. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. Shvirat HaMidot. Now the Rambam in Hilchos, in the Mishnah and Parah says something amazing. To prove that a Baal Tshuva stands higher than a Tzaddik Gomer. A Baal Tshuva stands higher than a Tzaddik Gomer. The Rambam in Perish HaMishnayos in Sechta Parah says someone became contact with a dead person. He becomes Tomei. Tomei is the symbol of what? Defilement of sin. He says, HaTomei Hazeh, this Tomei person, Ashehuza Olav, now he got spritzed with the Paraduma, Yote Godol HaMadrega B'Tahara. He is greater in Madrega, in purity, than a person that never got Tomei. Person that was defiled and did tshuva, his madrega is greater because the pasuk calls him tahor. The person never became tamei, he's not called a tahor. Dafke only becomes tamei with the tumas meis, which is a symbol of sin, and he does tshuva and he gets spritzed with the red cow ashes. His madrega, says Rambam, is greater because the Torah says he's a tahor. He turned the sin, Rabbi Yaakov, he turned the sin into what? A win. Isn't that incredible?
I think it's only the Shemayim.
What?
It's only the Shemayim.
What do you mean in Shemayim?
Like if somebody does a crime, he doesn't.
No, Zisel, that's Ben Adam Lamakam. No, I'm glad you brought it up. She brought it up to you. Ben Adam Lamakam, you can turn a sin into a win. But Ben Adam Lechaveiro, says the Mishnah and Yuma, forget about it. God says it's not my business. If you wronged someone else, no tshuva can help unless you do right by the guy that you wronged. We're talking Elisheva ben Adam Lamakam, eating a cheeseburger, having immoral relations. But if you sin against a human being, oy vay vay, God says, I can't help you. Sorry, it's not my department. You have to do right by the guy that you wronged, and good luck. Their tshuva and Yom Kippur will not help. We're talking sins between man and God. Now, a Baal Tshuva can actually change reality. a Baal Tshuva can change reality. Chava, what am I saying? I'll prove it to you. Okay? Now, we are taught to believe that only we have free choice. Elsie the cow, remember, and Elma the bull, they don't have free choice. I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Masha. Elsie the cow has free choice when to eat, when to sleep. And Elma the bull has free choice when to hunt and when to sleep and when not to sleep. What makes us unique? A squirrel. Should I climb up the tree now or climb the tree later? Should I collect the nuts now or later? I mean, it looks like animals also have free will. The Vilna Gaon asked this kasha. Don't look at me funny. The Vilna Gaon said, right? The tiger has free will. Should I hunt now or sleep now? Should I eat now or sleep now? The tiger and the lion? What makes us unique, says the Vilna Gaon. I'm glad you asked. He says the ability, koyach hatziyur, koyach hatziyur, the ability to imagine. Thank you. Koyach hatziyur, says the Vilna Gaon. Only a human being has that. The ability to imagine a world beyond the physical. Leo the lion can't imagine a world beyond the physical. He sees the giraffe or what he wants to hunt. What you see is what you get. But a human being, the koyach hatziyur, to go and imagine there's a world beyond the physical. There's a world of the soul. There's a world of olam haba. Elmer the bull can't imagine that, David. The unseen world, our neshama. The spiritual world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. An animal, what you see is what you get. But that's what makes us unique. The ability, the koyach hatziyur, to imagine that there's a world beyond the physical. My neshama, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the olam ha'emet. And therefore, I have to change my evil ways. Remember that song, Yehuda? You've got to change your evil ways. But they got that from us, right? Now, Tshuva consists of 4 steps. Number 1, physically stop sinning. Walk away, otherwise what good is it? Number 2, vidu beper. David, how do you say that in English? Oral confession. Number 3, charata and busha. Shame and regret and remorse for past sins. And number 4, kabbalah al-atid. I accept upon myself never to do that sin again. 4 difficult steps. That's what the Rambam says in Hilchos Tshuva. But then in Hilchos Ishus, he seems to contradict himself. In Hilchos Ishus, he says, listen to this. A guy walks over to a woman, he's dating a woman, and they love each other. He says, Areyat mukudeshet li. You are married to me, almanas shani tzadik, on the condition that I'm what? Afa pishu rasha gamur. Mukudeshet. Die. Hello? You hear the story? Guy is dating a woman, they're in love. He says, you are married to me on the condition I'm a tzaddik. And we know the guy is not a tzaddik, he's a rasha. The Rambam rules mukudeshet. Shema hira tshuva beliboy. Perhaps he had what? How do you say hira tshuva in his heart, Gershom? How do you say that?
Thought about it.
Thought of tshuva. Rambam, you're contradicting yourself, Zisla. You said that tshuva, you have physically stop sinning, oral confession, shame, regret, verbal commitment, not to do it again. This guy didn't do any of that. Maybe he just said a hira tshuva in his mind, and that's it, he's a tzaddik. What about the 4 steps of tshuva, Rabbi Yaakov? Hashvera Rambam. Answer this, Rambam. Yishalmi Bekurim tells us that Chos and Kala, on the day of the wedding, their sins are forgiven. You know that? You want to get sins forgiven? Get married. Therefore, Chos and Kala, David, on the day of the wedding, they fast. Why? It's Yom Kippur. Their sins are forgiven. How does the Gemara know that? The Zohar says, the Torah says, no se'oven. Marriage in Hebrew is called nesuin. Why is marriage in Hebrew called nesuin? From the word no se'avon. There's a pasuk in Exodus 34, Yehuda. No se'avon. Alana would like this. No se'avon. God lifts off sin. So marriage is called nesuin because when you get married, Mindel, what happens? Your sins are lifted off. We have lift off. Right? So therefore, nesuin, Exodus 34, no se'avon. When you get married, all of your sins are forgiven. What is it, a hocus pocus?
Is that just for men?
No, it's from ladies too. Why is it a hocus pocus? What's going on? What's going on? Abraham. Rosh Hashanah, page 17 says, someone that's Mavri al Medosaf, someone gives it up for somebody else. He's Mavater. How do you say that in English? He gives it up. He gives in, he gives it up. Vergucken. How do you say vergucken, verkicken? Mavir men kol peshad. Someone gives it up for somebody else. Someone wronged him, did him harm. And he has a right to what? To exact retribution, and he doesn't. He gives it up, then the Midas Hadin gives it up on him. If we show undeserved grace and kindness to those that wrong us, says the Gemara Rosh Hashanah 17, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will act the same way with us. Will act the same way with us. We leave it, we drop it. So the Midas Hadin does the same with what? With that person. The way we conduct ourselves with others, the way Hashem conducts himself with him. When you get married, you give it up for the other party. Marriage is all about compromising, giving in to the other one. The husband gives to the wife gives to the husband, she gives herself, she gives her body, she doesn't feel like it, she gives. Each one gives it up for the other. So when you get married, your sins are forgiven because you're a vatran. You're Mavril Medoisav. So you give it up for your spouse, God gives it up for you. Even without tshuva. So the Rambam says someone proposes to a woman. He's obligating himself to the wife. He's giving in to her. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Right? So therefore, he gets kapara even without the steps of tshuva. To be a vatran. You give it up for your spouse. God gives it up for you even without tshuva. Can you imagine a lover's quarrel? One spouse ranks out the other. And you say, yes, dear. You bought yourself a one-way ticket to Olam Haba. My Rebbe Pam Zatzal said that husband and wife, when they're arguing, one person should play deaf. I didn't hear that. Yes, dear. What did you say? Yes, dear. What did you say? Yes, dear. What did you say? If you play deaf, it's a ticket to ride. So therefore, when you get married, all your sins are forgiven, says the Shalmi Bikurim, because you're a mevater. You give it up, so the Midas Hadin gives it up for you even without tshuva. Rosh Hashanah, page 17. Isn't that incredible? Tivi mevater. There's a famous story of Hasidic Rebbe. They were very poor in Shtetl in Poland before Sukkot. They didn't have much. Sukkot is coming up. And you have an esrog. An esrog in eastern Poland 200 years ago cost a small fortune. The Rebbe didn't have it. His wife was a granddaughter of the Baal Shem Tov. So she brought to the marriage the Baal Shem Tov's tefillin. And he didn't use it, he had his own tefillin. So he was desperate, Sukkot is coming, he needs to buy an esrog, very expensive. He hacked the tefillin, and he bought what? An esrog. And they were very poor. The Rebbetzin comes home from shopping Erev Sukkot, and she sees what? Yehuda. This gorgeous esrog. She said, Rebbe, we don't have much at all. Where'd you get the money to buy the esrog? He says, sweetheart, please sit down. Remember the Zaydis tefillin, the Baal Shem Tov's tefillin? You know I don't use it. I don't need it. I have my own. I need an esrog. So I hacked the tefillin, and I bought an esrog. She said, what? You took my Zaydis Baal Shem Tov's tefillin and you sold it to buy an esrog without asking me? She was enraged. She grabbed the esrog gershon and she took a bite. And she bit off the pitim He threw it on the ground. Yiddish, Chava. Now, she was expecting Bang Zoom. Remember Ralph Cramden, Bang Zoom? Instead of giving her Meshaberach, he kissed her. She fainted because she thought, Pah! He said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I lost my tefillin. I lost my esrog. But I'm not going to lose my temper.
Wow.
That night, he had no esrog. He had no tefillin. That night, who comes to Benachulam? Who? The Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said in a dream, my Rebbe, what an impression you made in Shemayim. Eza simply made in Shemayim. You, for the rest of your life, don't never have to buy no more esrog. You got a one-way ticket to ride. Marvel Medoisov. Isn't that incredible? Marvel Medoisov. You give in when you don't have to. For cooking. How do you say for cooking, for kicking? To give it up. Not to become angry when you can become angry. You bought yourself Olam Haba without tshuva. Now, I'm talking about myself. I'm talking. Marvel Medoisov, give it up, give in, don't become angry. My Rebbe Rapam Zatzal gave a beautiful mashal. A guy got a bit part on an off-Broadway play. You know this, Avram? Off-Broadway play. He had one line to say. In the play, a cannon goes off. And when the cannon goes boom, he's supposed to say, hark, I hear the cannon roar. So for 12 weeks, he's rehearsing. It's off-Broadway. He's in the play, the cannon goes boom. He says, hark, I hear the cannon roar. 12 weeks rehearsing. Opening night comes. He's nervous. The curtain goes up. He mounts the stage. He's waiting, anticipating. The cannon goes boom. He says, what the heck was that? That's me. I keep rehearsing and rehearsing. And never when someone gets my dander up, how do you say that in English?
Get mad. Gets up my
I don't say hark, I hear the cannon roar, which I should say. I say, what the heck was that? Now, the Zohar HaKodesh is something incredible. I'm over 40. Avram, we're over 40. We can talk Zohar, right? The carbon tumid, the daily offering that was brought every day when the temple stood, was what? A keves. A shepsel, a keves. The Zohar says, why not a chicken? Chicken is also kosher. Why a keves every day, in the morning, in the afternoon? And why tell me about it? We haven't had it in 2,000 years, Yehuda. GPS, why do we learn the Parsha Tumid? We say it every morning in the Karbonot of you. Why? Torah's GPS, it's not history. Why do we have to read the Parsha of Tumid, the Karbonos, every day? We bought a keves in the morning, and a keves when? In the afternoon. What's the relevant today? Says the Zohar, you know why we brought a keves, David, and not a chicken? The word keves is the same root as the word kovesh. Anybody who knows Hebrew? Keves, a shin and a sin interchange. Keves means a shepsel, but kovesh means Eze Gibor. Kovesh says Yitzroy. Says the Zohar, you can bring a carbon tumid today also. Every time you want to get angry, every time you have an urge to see Lashon Hara, or an urge to do another Aveira, and you are kovesh, you don't do it, you brought God a keves. So therefore the tumid was not a chicken, or not even a deer, it was a keves, the word kovesh. Eze gibor, a kovesh is Yitzray. So when we are kovesh, we have an urge to do any aveira, anger, lashon hara, whatever it is, and I bite my tongue, says the Zohar, I brought God a healthy, fat shepsel keves, better than a keves. I brought him what?
obedience.
The Zohar says, I was makriv my anger on the Mizbeach, or my urge to speak lashon hara.
I brought that to God on the Mizbeach by not indulging. I brought God a shepsel, better than a shepsel. And 6 times a day, not just twice. Whenever you have the urge to do any Avera, someone gets you upset and you want to lynch into him, and you don't, you brought God a keves because you were kovesh, the same word. Eze gibor, who's a hero? HaKovesh es Yitzro. But how do you do that? Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid. Carbon tamid. If you place God in front of you tamid, whatever happens to you, the spouse is not my problem. The boss is not my problem. My nasty neighbor is not my problem. Who's the cause of it all? Shiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. If I place God in front of me always, at all problems in life, the guy who does it, he's the UPS driver. It all comes from Hashem. If I realize that, I'm offering up my urge, my Yetzer Hara on the Mizbeach to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because I know whatever happens in life, it's all Hashem. There are no accidents and there are no coincidences. It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if I be able to rehearse that, then I would know that what? That's the way to get by. To get by and not to sin. My Rebbe Rapam Zatzal, he gave a beautiful mashal. He said a person is waiting 19 years to get this plum job. Yiddish Havim, 19 years he's waiting. But he has to be at the 8:30 in the morning at the employer's office. If he doesn't show up, the job goes to somebody else. So he's waiting and he's waiting. He wakes up extra early in the morning and he's rushing to lock the door, so he slams the door on his fingers and he breaks his fingers. And then he screams out and he wakes up the dog and the dog bites him. Now he has broken fingers, a dog bite. He ain't going to be 8:30 in the job. He has to go to Shaarei Tzedek Hospital. He's waiting 19 years for this job interview. So what's going to happen, Chava? Broken fingers, a dog bite, the job is lost. So he could curse. But he has to remember that the night before, my Rebbe spoke about a telegram. In 1974, there was no internet. He said, the night before, this person got a telegram. And the telegram came from Hashem. Hashem said, my dear child, tomorrow morning, you're going to have a very difficult day. A lot of problems and a lot of tzoros. But you should know I am watching you. How will you behave? Will you curse and rant? Or will you smile? He says, we all have the telegram in my pocket. Whenever a person going through hard times, Hashem sent us a telegram. We don't read it. It all comes from Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I'm watching you, I'm testing you, I'm suffering with you. If we realize that, instead of cursing, we'd be what? Blessing. Smile, you're on candid camera. Hark, I hear the cannon roar. Or what the heck was that? That's the trick in life. But if we can overlook, I give it up, then Midas Hadin gives it up for me. Amazing story, Moshe Feinstein. Moshe Feinstein Zatzal, he took a lot of flack from the Satmar in Williamsburg. They really ranked him out. One Erev Yom Kippur, this big Satmar Choshen who really ranked him out comes to him, Erev Yom Kippur. So Rav Tuvi Goldstein Zatzal was there and said, did he come to apologize? What did he come for? He came to ask for a letter of recommendation to be a Mashgiach. This Satmar guy who ranked out by Moshe. So Rav Tuvia said, did you give him the letter? I said, I gave him the letter. Did he apologize? Didn't apologize. So why did you give him the letter for? He ranked you out during the year, and he came to ask you for a letter of recommendation. You give him the letter of recommendation? He says, Efche dus is mein shoachas. You hear this? A person comes, Yofa shoachas, a person, Yesh kani aloma b'shoachas. The Gemara does. A person comes down for one magic moment. Maybe this is my magic moment. I didn't want to give him the letter. He was nasty to me and I wanted to be nasty to him. But I was kovesh. This is my moment why Hashem sent me down to the world. The great Moshe Feinstein. If we can overlook, I give him the letter anyway. We neutralize the Satan on the Yom Hadin. Even without tshuva. We make the Satan walk away. If we walk away when we are wronged, when we don't have to, we make sure Satan walks away. We have made the Satan not to show up. Wow. You have your side, the other guy has your side. You let him have the aliyah. You let him have the amud. You're mevater when you don't have to. You make sure that what? You get angry, you have a right to get angry, and you don't, then the Satan will not show up on the Yom Hadin. Then all you have to deal with is what? The judge, and the judge happens to be my beloved parent. We have a way of making Satan not to show up. He missed the date. Right? The way we behave is the way God behaves himself with us. To be mevater. Very difficult. It takes a lifetime of what? Of training. But if we realize that he's filming us, then you smile instead of cursing. How am I doing, God, right? You're watching me, you're grading me. So it helps me to be what? To be Marvel Midoisav. Yes, a person comes down for one magic moment. When is that magic moment? When someone you really have an urge to do an Aveira, whatever it is, and you don't. That's my Shoachas. I brought God better than a keves. I brought him a kovesh. My Yetzirah. My Yetzirah. Pretty interesting. To be mevater. To give it up when you don't have to. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives it up for you when he doesn't have to. The way a person judges others is the way what? God judges him. It's midah keneged midah. Next Sunday we don't have a class because it's Rosh Hashanah. What does Rosh Hashanah mean? The beginning of the change. David, get it? Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the change? Shana means change, right? The beginning of the change. This year, I'm going to change. I'll change. A New Year's resolution, I'll change. Rosh Hashanah, or it also means Hashanah this year, before I open my mouth, I'm going to use my Rosh. Most sins of the Al-Chet come from what? From opening your mouth. You don't have to. Rosh Hashanah. Hashanah, this year, Rabbi Yaakov, I'm going to use my Rosh before I open my mouth. What's so special about the shofar? Rosh Hashanah, don't blow it. I mean, do blow it. What's so special about the shofar? Why do you blow a shofar from a ram? Says the Gemara Rosh Hashanah, page Tezayin. Lama shofar shalayil. Why do you blow a ram's horn? Omra HaKadosh Baruch Hu. God said, Tikul lefanai b'shofar shalayil. On Rosh Hashanah, blow the horn of a ram. Kidei she'eskel lechem akedat Yitzchak. In order I will remember for you the Akedah of Yitzchak. Umalani aleichem, and I will consider it. Ki'ilu akadetem atzmechem lefanai, as if you would what? On Rosh Hashanah, through the shofar of the aisle, we all become virtual Akedas. When did Akedah take place? The Zohar says when? Rosh Hashanah. So therefore it's appropriate to read the Akedah on Rosh Hashanah, and we blow a ram's horn. God said, you blow a ram's horn, I will consider it as if you yourself tied yourself up for me on the Akedah. That's how much Hashem loves us. The Zohar goes even further than that. We know in Kabbalistic terms, Avraham represents what? Chesed. Yitzchak represents what? Din. So Dafka, the Akedah took place on Rosh Hashanah, the day of Din. Abraham, the Chesed, tied up Yitzchak, the Din. Even on the Yom Hadin, God wants Abraham's Chesed to conquer and tie up the Din of Yitzchak. So even on the Yom Hadin, the Chesed trumps. Excuse me using the word. Chesed trumps Din. The Akedat Yitzchak takes place. The tying up of the Chesed over the Din of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, Rosh Hashanah, there used to be a movie called Come Blow Your Horn, no? Or was it a play?
It was a play and a movie.
Oh, Come Blow Your Horn, right?
This died.
Oh, Neil Simon, Come Blow Your Horn. He was speaking about Rosh Hashanah, I think. He was Jewish, wasn't he? Neil Simon, not Neil Diamond, Neil Simon. Right? Mm-hmm. So according to the Zohar, the shofar is God's wake-up call to our soul. It's the Rambam said it's reveille for a slumbering soul. The neshama is like in a, what's the word, lethargic? In a stupor. The Rambam says that the shofar is the alarm clock. It's a spiritual alarm clock that wakes up the neshama. When no words, we don't have the words to say. The shofar is the cry from the heart. How do you say in Yiddish, akrechts? How do you say akrechts? How do you say in Hebrew, akrechts? A moan, a weeping. It's the cry of the Jewish heart. Onkelos translates Yom Teruah. Onkelos says Yom Yabava, a day of weeping. A day of weeping. And the Gemara goes so far. The Gemara says that in the Ashrei, King David seems to contradict himself. He says, Tzadik Hashem b'chol derachav, v'chosid b'chol masav. God is a tzaddik. A tzaddik means you do what you have to do, not more, not less. You get what you deserve, not more. And then he says, v'chosid b'chol masav. What does a chosid mean? More than you deserve. So is God a tzaddik or is God a chosid? King David seems to contradict himself. Yes. So the Gemara says, before Tkiyah Shofar, God is a tzaddik. Strict justice, no more, no less. After Tkiyah Shofar, v'chosid b'chol masav. After Tkiyah Shofar, Kodesh Baruch Hu becomes a chosid, even without a shtreimel. Because how is it David, Yehuda, the Tkiyah Shofar like softens him up? He softens him up. It's the cry of the child to the parent. Which child can cry and a parent will not what? Break down? Right? So the Tkiyah Shofar, says the Zohar, is the cry. Abba, I want to get close to you. Ima, help me. So when God hears that cry, how could he help not what? Giving us undeserved love and chesed. That's the important part of the shofar. It's the wail, it's the cry of the Jewish heart. We're also Mamlich HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, the birthday of Adam HaRishon was when? Rosh Hashanah. What happened on Rosh Hashanah? Vayipach ba'apov nishmat chayim. God blew the breath of life into us, right? So the Zohar says something amazing. On Rosh Hashanah, God gave us mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He blew part of himself, Kavayachol, into us on Rosh Hashanah. So therefore, we blow our breath into the animal shofar, just like Hashem blew into us, to elevate the animal soul inside of us, to infuse our animal instincts with Kedusha. So God blew the breath of life into us on Rosh Hashanah, a part of himself, Kavayachol. So we, on Rosh Hashanah, we blow into the shofar. The shofar represents our animal instincts. We blow it into ourselves. So Rosh Hashanah, the beginning of the change. How do we change? Yidl by yidl, little by little, yidl by yidl. One smile at a time. You can't run the marathon overnight. You have to start slowly. To be kinder, to be more friendly, to crack a smile. And it's I think it's called contagious, right? Little by little, changing, becoming kinder, one smile at a time. Little by little, lot, little by little. But the shofar blowing is pushed off until Musaf. Isn't that strange? When you have a mitzvah to do, you do it what? As soon as possible. Zrizin makdimin lemitzvot. You learn from Avraham Avinu. Vayashkam Ram Aboker. So Avraham, why do you push off shofar blowing until Musaf? You should do it Shachris.
If there's a great crowd there.
Oh, so the Gemara gives Chava's answer, Yishalmi. B'roivam hadvas melech. Even in the days of the Talmud, more people came to shul when? Musaf than Shachris. Right? So it's greater honor for the king to coronate him when there's a larger crowd. And there are more people in the shul, Musaf time, than there are Shachris. Human nature, David, doesn't change in 2,000 years. So therefore the rabbis pushed off shofar blowing until Musaf. B'roivam hadvas melech. When there's more people in shul, it's greater honor for the king to be what? Coronated.
But you said the shofar blowing also refers to, I forgot the name of the woman who chopped off the head of.
Not her. The mother of Sisera. That's very bizarre that Yosef brought up. The Gemara, Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah Lamed Gimel makes a very strange statement. Strange. You have to give me a little bit. Tosfos Rosh Hashanah Daf Lamed Gimel makes a bizarre statement, Gershom. The reason we blow 100 shofar blasts on Rosh Hashanah, because Arafat's mother, Sisera's mother, wept 100 sobs when she heard Sonny Boy ain't coming home. That's what Tosfos says in Rosh Hashanah Lamed Gimel. Strange medrash. So isn't that bizarre? Because Arafat's mother wept 100 sobs, I have to blow 100 shofar blasts on Rosh Hashanah? What the heck is the connection there?
Why do we care?
Why should I care? I'm glad you asked. Rosh Hashanah is the Yom Hadin. It's when the good, the bad, and the ugly are judged. Even Sisera, the symbol of evil, it's all part of his plan. There's a pasuk in Isaiah 45. Yotza or borech choshech, ose shalom, uborei ra, ani Hashem ose kol eleh. Isaiah 45. God says, ose shalom, uborei ra, ani Hashem ose kol eleh. God also creates evil. Even the Siseras in the world, the Arafats, somehow it's part of God's plan. I don't understand it, but on the Yom Adin, when I coronate Kodesh Baruch Hu, I acknowledge that even the Siseras, even the evil, could not exist unless God allowed it. That's the 100 shofar blasts. That even evil has us, it's part of his plan. I don't see the plan. It makes no sense to me, but on the Yom Adin, when I coronate him, I acknowledge that nothing can happen without him, not even evil, as he tells Isaiah chapter 45. And on the Yom Adin, I acknowledge that by blowing exact same of shofar blast that Arafat's mother wept. That even evil is part of the divine plan, strange as it sounds. I acknowledge that on the Yom Hadin. And if I do that, then God has to give me a good year. If I acknowledge that all problems and all sorrows in life, there's only one address. If I acknowledge that it's all him, Ein od milvado. What does that mean? There's no reality but him. Then if I acknowledge that, that's Rosh Hashanah. That's it. God, it's all you. I don't understand what you're doing, but I know it's all you. You're the one and only. then if I know that, David, I got it made in the shade. But again, you got to rehearse. Hark, I hear the cannon roar. Right? When sorrows happen to a person, you don't say, what the heck is that? You got to rehearse and rehearse. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid. It's only God. It's all God. It's not my spouse. It's not my neighbor. It's not my boss. They're only the delivery boys. How do you say UPS driver? Telegram. Federal Express.
Western Union. That's Western.
There's one address. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid. God, it's all you. If I really believe that, I got it made in the shade. But it's one address. V'chatasi negdi tamid, shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid. Then you bring God a carbon tamid. More than twice a day, says the Zohar. Therefore, it's a keves, not a chicken. Chicken is kosher too, right? And why we say it every morning in the Shacharis prayer. We haven't had a shepsel for 2,000 years. But the keves, that the struggle, everyone has their weakness, their impulse, whether it's Lashon Hara, whether it's anger, whether it's the schmutz on the internet, everyone has their impulse. If he's able to, what's the word, stifle it, contain it, conquer it, you brought God a shepsel, better than a shepsel. God doesn't need my shepsel. He wants my impulses brought on the Mizbeach. My anger, my Lashon Hara, burn it up on the Mizbeach. That's more important to him than a shepsel. That's our task on the Yom Hadin. That's our task on the Yom Hadin. We should all have a Shana Tova Metuka. We have a class on Thursday.
Amen.
But next Sunday, no. But please keep in mind, Tzom Gedalia, my father's Yotzai, the day after Rosh Hashanah. It's called, David, the topic of my father's Yotzai is Tzom Gedalia. Yonah's dilemma, is God Jewish? Yonah's dilemma, is God Jewish? It's a dilemma.